originally, I think I did start to learn about it because he was interested in it and wouldn't talk about anything else. And I wanted to understand him and like, be able to add some value to our conversation. So I sort of started to read about it. And the more that I read about it, the more that I realized that it was important because of things that I had noticed in my life already. I was already worried about what was going on with the money. I had read End the Fed in 2011. But Bitcoin, I didn't find Bitcoin at that time. I knew that there was a major problem. I knew that we were looking at some kind of major global collapse at some point in the future. And I was having panic attacks about a zombie apocalypse coming. I had read the Prepper's Guide, right? And point one of the Prepper's Guide is you can prepare for a zombie apocalypse all you want, but if you don't have enough money in the bank to sustain you for 6 months or a year or 10 years, then all of that other stuff isn't, the most likely instance of disaster that's going to occur is going to be financial. You could lose your job and have trouble getting another one. So I kind of stopped reading the survivalist guide because I was like, okay, well, the first thing that I need is money. I don't have that. How am I going to get it? And then kind of one night in the middle of the night, I woke up I have to buy some crypto. And so that's what I did. And as I had more skin in that game, I started to learn more about it kind of naturally, I guess. I was researching different coins and learning a little bit about trading, but not trading on technicals, more making larger fundamental long-term trades, and then sometimes taking profits out of them when they were significant, right? Especially significant in a short time. But again, based on fundamentals, not really based on technical analysis. Let's see what else happened. So I have a daughter who will be 9 later this month. And before she was born, I was in a PhD program for religious studies. And I was focusing on tribalism and war between religious groups. So when I found crypto, I also found the tribalism and everything that exists within there. And I thought, not only is this a great way for me to get the money that I need to have the survivalist, the survival, I don't know, everything that I need. This is also maybe the greatest case study of all time. And I kind of came in with the desire to understand the communities and how the communities relate to each other. Now, I definitely drank way too much of the Kool-Aid along the way, so I no longer really call myself, an anthropologist or a sociologist here, unless you say I'm one of the academics here who has gone native. Yeah. So let's see, there were a couple of years where I was, invested in cryptocurrency and learning about cryptocurrency without being involved in the community. And then in 2019, I moved across state, across state lines. And I really just wanted to change a lot of stuff about my life. And I was doing retail arbitrage at the time, which is basically trading, but with physical goods. So I was like, I wonder, how, if I can find a job working within cryptocurrency. Now, one of my master's degrees is in journalism, because religious studies and journalism can sometimes go hand in hand. They're both, they both require a great deal of writing. So I started a blog. It's not there anymore. It was called 007 Nerd. And the first piece I wrote was how I used the price of cryptocurrency to emotionally manipulate my boyfriend. There's a video with the same title on my YouTube channel, which is Web3 TV. But with that piece, I applied for a freelance journalism position with CCN. And, they brought me on, of course, as a freelancer with very low pay and no benefits and no risk to them. I wrote articles for CCN before ultimately deciding that wasn't a very good fit for me. I've written for a couple of other crypto news media outlets. I helped start a low frequency crypto-focused television station in Arizona that ended up not working out. The owner ran out of money, so couldn't fund the project anymore. And then now I'm doing independent journalist, independent content creator. I work on a show called Mind Your Biz. I co-host that on Monday nights with Seth Estrada. It's primarily focused on proof of work projects, but we do cover some proof of stake, really covering everything. And then we also do a Saturday show, which is called Scam Buster Saturdays. We don't actually identify scams. I created a 12-point list with a financial advisor who I used to do some work for as a consultant. And so he helped. Well, I wrote the list and he went over it and made sure that it was correct or comprehensive. And then now we just take various projects, maybe that people have been calling a scam, or maybe that there's been some controversy over, and evaluate them according to the 12 objective points, rather than because sometimes when they're calling things a scam, it's over something that's nonsense, right? Like, oh, it's a scam because we don't like the leader, because the leader 20 years ago did this or did that. Well, sorry, this is crypto. Everyone here has something in their past that they're ashamed of. This is the age of the internet. In previous times, all these leaders of companies also had these past proclivities. They just didn't exist. So that's not really a valid concern unless there's other things that accompany it, right? So we kind of take various projects and evaluate them based on the 12 points. And then at the end of the show, we don't even say, yeah, this is a scam, or no, it's not a scam. We say, hey, here's the evidence. You decide.
Fascinating. And so in your tribalism, what do you feel like, Nicole? Because there does, I'm aware of it as well, but I'm a owner of a few different cryptos. My largest holdings are in XRP, and the reasons are because I believe in Ripple. And I believe in the team that Ripple has put together. But that doesn't mean that I don't feel like that there are other crypto projects that I've invested in other ones. I don't really understand the tribalism. Do you have any reasoning or any opinions on why you feel like there seems to be that tribalism in our crypto community? I feel like the fiat and the corporate bankers, the banksters, are the problem, not fractional reserve lending, not cryptos.
Yeah, I think that we would be a lot stronger if instead of if people didn't like certain crypto projects because they thought that they were pro-bank or, less decentralized or whatever, if instead of focusing on attacking those other crypto projects, people just focused on themselves, I think that would probably put us further ahead in the long run, because when you're already a minority group and you start attacking others within your minority group, you're not actually furthering your cause, making it confusing for people who aren't on the outside. And also, why would anybody want to join a community that's constantly attacking itself? Why does tribalism exist? Good question. It's human. So it's just sort of one of our many flaws, right? Like, people tend to want to get into groups, and you want to get into groups where people agree with you, and that just happens. I think there are some people who think that there's only so much room in crypto, and that, all of the talent needs to be focused on whatever project their bags are in. Because if there's, half of the talent working over here and, a quarter over here and an eighth over here, then wouldn't that one project be stronger if everybody were working on it? The problem is that not everybody shares the same vision for a project. So, people are emotionally attached to their bags, and people also listen to other people. So it's easy if you get into crypto with XRP, right? And you're like, oh, XRP army, this is my crew. And then you go to another, you go into another community, right? Like, you get into a Discord, or you go to a conference for a different group, and that group is maybe less welcoming of you because they're like, immediately, oh, you're XRP, I mean, I think that that's a major problem, that how we treat each other when we sort of try to cross different cryptos is a huge issue. And I've experienced it myself, having, attended conferences where I wasn't necessarily already a part of the community. And I know that I'm not the only one. Because I've talked to multiple people who have experienced this. What can we do about it? Not much, because you can't control the way that other people behave, right? Like, I mean, I can tell you, hey, this isn't cool. Hey, this, stop this. But until somebody takes it upon themselves to do it, you can't. So I think the best thing that you can do is just kind of live it by example. Don't be tribal. Don't, if someone disagrees with you or has a crypto project that you dislike, try to disassociate yourself from the fact that they're holding a bag that is opposite from the bag that you're holding. I mean, can you imagine not liking someone because they had a different fiat currency from yours? And that is essentially like that's nationalism, right? So like if I'm trying to think of an example. Let's say in North America, I didn't like my friend because she transacts in Canadian dollar, in loonies, right? Well, okay, that would be nationalism. And then let's take it further and say that I didn't like another friend because he transacts in pesos. Well, I mean, like, that's almost straight racism, where like I don't like someone because they have different money than me. I mean, maybe I think people try to express their concern over the potential value or the potential purchasing power of what currencies somebody else is holding, but that right there is a violation of individualist values that cryptocurrency is built upon. Like, you know what? You want to hold that currency that I don't believe is going to have the same purchasing power as, the currencies that I'm going to hold right now? Well, your problem. Like, I'm not responsible for that, because
I have attempted to try to be a unifier, because I've seen a couple of squabbles back and forth with people on Twitter that I follow. And I've tried to invite them to come on to my show and talk to each other about it. But I have not been able to, so far at least, I've not been able to get anybody that seems like that they want to argue with each other together and talk about it. And one of the things that I have found as well is, and I own Bitcoin. I bought some more VeChain today. I own XRP. Again, my largest holdings are XRP, but I understand that there are other projects. There's Visa, there's MasterCard, there's Discover Card. There are different banks. There's different countries. I'm a huge North Carolina basketball fan, but I can appreciate, and I do not like Duke, but I respect them and I appreciate. I just have a difference of opinion. It's basketball. It's a team preference. And I have tried to be a bridge builder and bring some of the people together, but I just don't find that people are willing to get together to talk about things. And I've asked questions in Twitter to some of the stronger Bitcoin people, and they don't respond. I mean, I am a Bitcoin holder. It concerns me that over 50% of the hash rate is in China. It concerns me that they had to build the Lightning Network and the transactions are slow and costly. I think those are legitimate concerns, but I don't find a lot of the Bitcoin people willing to answer those things. They just want to say Bitcoin all the way and any other project is no good. Just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, so I would agree with you that the tribalism seems to be the strongest within Bitcoin Core, where it's like you're not even allowed to ask questions, or you are allowed to ask questions, but if you don't immediately come to the same conclusion that whoever answers the question says, then you're an idiot. I don't disagree with you. I don't like maximalism at all, and I don't like communities that encourage it.
Me neither. And again, look, I don't like fiat. I mean, has anybody taken a gander lately at the size of the derivative market? I mean, 1.2 quadrillion is an impressive number. And that is a big problem. Has anyone lately looked at the American USA debt clock? $147 trillion of unfunded liabilities. That is a problem. I mean, since we went off the gold standard in 71 and went off on this credit jubilee, that's the problem, not other cryptos. And legitimately having, issues that I think are legitimate to ask about and get an answer about, I just think they should be answered. And I don't know why that I've run into some of the Bitcoin people that they just won't answer. I'm not trying to attack them. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to understand, because I see the proof of work not working, and that's why Ethereum had to build 2.0. And I've educated myself in these areas. It's why Bitcoin had to build the Lightning Network. And I'm not trying to attack anybody or make them feel bad about their investment or what they believe in, but I don't find a lot of willingness for people to discuss any of it.
Yeah, I think I don't know what to tell you about that. Yeah, I think that that's a major problem. I think that it should be much easier to ask questions without being dismissed. I don't know what to do to resolve it. I'm kind of working on the same thing myself, where like I don't take positions, I just ask questions. Hopefully doing this for a little bit longer, building more of a reputation doing it, and maybe more people will be willing to talk with me, with you. I have talked to some people within the Bitcoin community, but usually not about those maximalist issues. I'm kind of going project by project and then sort of hoping that once I get through a significant number of them, that then I can go and say, okay, tell me why everybody else is wrong.
Yeah, I understand completely. Well, and it is I'm very glad that we connected, because I believe that it's people like you and I that are trying to be more unifying in crypto. I think is positive, because again, Nicole, I own Bitcoin. I would love it to go to $1 million of Bitcoin. I don't have any problem with that at all. I own it. I would love VeChain to continue to explode. I own some. I love it. So it's very, very heartwarming to know that I connected with you, because there are more people out there that kind of see that this tribalism and this maximal attitude kind of thing is just not grown up, not big boy pants on doing that.
Well, not only is it not grown up, but I mean, I'll take it even further and tie this to someone who I'm sure who you recognize from the space, Brock Pierce. Mm-hmm. So, he's kind of not really the head of EOS, but most often associated with the EOS project, has been involved with cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin from very early on. He's invested in Ripple, one of Ripple's earlier investors. When I was working for CCN, someone else wrote an article about something that Brock said about maximalism, and I couldn't agree more as someone who studied religious traditions and how they clash with each other, is that crypto maximalism is the same thing as, as religious extremism or religious fundamentalism. Have we not learned from our history that doesn't work? I mean, can you imagine like trying to attract people to crypto? Have you ever heard someone say like, yeah, isn't that a cult? I totally have. I have friends and family who have been like, yeah, sorry, are you trying to get me to join your cult? Why? Because that's how people behave, right. That's yeah.
Okay. So now that you brought Brock into the conversation, he was actually one of my crypto experience started with Bitcoin videos 5, 6, 7 years ago. And Brock and Don Tapscott were the first two people that I started listening to. And Don Tapscott was talking about blockchain, and Brock was talking about Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. And I was fascinated by the guy. I'm a big fan. And how do you feel about his latest venture into politics?
Oh, the Brock Pierce for president?
Yeah.
Okay, so, well, really, I don't think that, and I haven't spoken to him. I can't really say that this is absolutely certain, but just based off of a hunch, I don't think that Brock expects to be elected, right? I mean, for one thing, we've never had a third party even gain enough of the vote to get on the ballot, or, for the next time that there's an election to be an official third party, or let's see, not official, but I don't know what the right word is. I don't think that he's trying to become the president. I think that, he's making a point of, and this is a point that John made. I interviewed John a year and a half ago, John McAfee, about, because he's run for president before, about his presidential run and about what he has said about it, saying, I don't want to be the president. I am never going to be the president. Please don't even vote for me. Write in the name of someone, because the point isn't to make me or someone else president. The point is to cast a vote of no confidence. So at the time, I kind of, I don't know, wobbled on whether or not that was really effective or not, and wondered who that would help in the election, because we're going to have one of two presidents, right? And then I sort of started to realize that it does at least let your government know, hey, I know that I have the right to vote. I'm still exercising my right to vote, and I'm going to vote for someone who you're never going to put in office, just so that you know that I'm 100% fed up with the kind of choices that you're giving us. So that actually inspired me to make this whole line of T-shirts that's like they all say "Vote for Satoshi" or "Satoshi 2020," and they're based on designs from other from different candidates at different times. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. I don't know, if you want one, you can get one at mineyour.biz.
When we finish, I'll get links and put them in the description of the video so everybody can find them.
Okay, awesome. So what do I think about his vid? I think it's more like just what it really is doing is gathering media attention so that he can have more of a mainstream platform to talk about cryptocurrency. And it's already helped, because we've seen platforms write articles about him and his presidential run in which he's talking about cryptocurrency. So all it's doing is really bringing more mainstream attention, and I'm for it. Kanye West is running for president. Paris Hilton is running for president. Brock Pierce is running for president. Like, awesome. Any candidate who's a crypto, who is a crypto proponent and starts a presidential run, I think that can only do good things for cryptocurrency, and I'm for it. I mean, I guess Brock has kind of a checkered past, and people may associate that with crypto, and some people have an issue with that. I don't know.
We're all human. We have in our XRP community, I don't know if you've run across a gentleman named Naga Bo, but if you haven't, he has also thrown his name in the ring for president. I was very fortunate to have been able to interview him and be able to hear his platform for the country. And but he's another one. If you haven't heard any of his videos yet, I think that you would. He's very entertaining. So okay. Naga Bo, I think you'd really like him.
Okay, check that out.
And I'm a libertarian, and so I look at it like both parties have contributed to where we are right now. And so I don't know. I love Mr. McAfee. I've been doing everything I can to respond to every tweet that he makes and see if I could get to be able to have an interview. And Nicole, after you learn a little bit about Naga Bo, what I asked both of them is if they would be willing to get together and have a presidential debate. So once you know a little bit more about Naga Bo, I think you'll appreciate how funny that would actually be.
Yeah.
So what about, do you feel like that the pandemic, we haven't spoken about the beer cold at all. Do you feel like that is hastening the adoption of crypto for all of us?
Well, so, when the pandemic first happened, first sort of started to spread and people found out that they were going to be out of their, a lot of people were out of jobs. What is it, like 40% of America was out of their jobs. And, without ability to pay bills, we watched the price of crypto decline, even though we had anticipated it running up before the halving, right? So I think that that's probably pretty natural. Anytime that people are worried about putting food over in their, feeding their families, or putting, paying the bills to keep a roof over their head, or keeping their cars, or, whatever, maintaining their monthly expenses, they're not going to be leaving their money into, in an asset that is volatile, that isn't highly liquid, that you can't spend like you can cash. So I think that was, anybody who was listening to real economists knew that in the event of a recession, initially Bitcoin was going to go down, just like everything else. Obviously we've seen it rebound since then. What could happen? I don't know. I guess if people get as scared as they were before the first wave, and that many people are unemployed without, or the purchasing power of a dollar decreases at the rate that we think that it's going to, when people realize how many more of them have been introduced into the economy, then yeah, we may see real problems. I don't know if people are going to flee into cryptocurrency. It seems like that's what they would do. But then again, I don't know if it's people's money that cryptocurrency really needs to succeed anymore at this point. Like, what percentage of the capital, in the world is controlled by the people versus, that 1%, or the corporations, or traditional finance, right? I think really what crypto needs is traditional finance. That's what's really going to cause the price boom, because the number of dollars out there in retail investors' hands isn't that high.
True. Well, do you think that one of the things that will begin to open up the floodgates is more regulatory clarity in the United States? And do you see that is moving closer and closer? I will say, for me, I surely have. I mean, it seems to me like that, 8 months ago, we've got Maxine Waters calling it Bitcom. And now we've got Chris Giancarlo out there trumpeting the Digital Dollar Act all of the time and the progress that they're making. But I see things, moving along a lot quicker now.
Yeah, definitely having more people who are in mainstream media having adopted the crypto, like a crypto stance is helpful. DeFi, like actually giving people the ability to stake their money, so they don't actually have to do anything. They don't have to have any special equipment. They don't have to earn passive income on their crypto holdings. That's a major game changer, just because people are worried about their money right now. I mean, and forever.
Well, and Nicole, do you have any feelings at all about any tin hat theories that the Illuminati is behind crypto, and we're all moving towards, the Bilderbergs are behind everything, and they're all trying to move us into a cashless society, and AI is going to take over. We're going to be in a surveillance world. Do you see that? Do you have any beliefs? I'm sure you've heard some of those things just like I have.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the, inevitability of a surveillance state, it seems likely, right? It seems inevitable. What can we do to make sure that we're not part of it? Or to make sure that we maintain some degree of freedom? That's probably why I'm really interested in privacy coins, because I don't think that you have to be doing something illegal or immoral to want that nobody knows what you're transacting with. And not just because they're going to make things illegal that shouldn't be illegal, not just because I think that people should be able to have guns, or not just because I believe that drugs should be legal, all of which I do, but because it's not just that they're tracing transactions to make sure that people aren't getting things that are dangerous for themselves and society. The tracing of transactions is also so that they know more about each individual, so they know how to market to them and how to make them do things, how to control them. So, you know, it may be as simple as like they know what your behaviors are when you're depressed, and so they know how to sell you stuff then that will make you more depressed, like further enslave you to the system, and I don't want that. So yeah, I do think that there's a strong possibility that there's a link between Bitcoin or some cryptocurrencies and a controlling conspiratorial body like the Illuminati, or whatever that term, I feel like it's used so much and to refer to so many different groups that it's almost like it's a pointless term.
Yeah.
It's not useful, but maybe let's say deep state. That Bitcoin or that cryptocurrency could have very easily been a deep state plan. I definitely do think that we're moving to a cashless society, and we've already seen the beginning of that with some stores having signs "no cash." The demonization of cash because of coronavirus, like, oh, we don't accept cash because of the virus, and the virus could live on this money. And then, what they're talking about doing with minting the $2 trillion coins to give people universal basic income digitally. And that means that they would know exactly how much was in everybody's account, when it was given to them, how they spent it. And that would mean that you would have to have some kind of digital ID to claim that money, right? So if you need the universal basic income because they've hyperinflated the dollar so much that you can't live without it, and you don't want, and then you have to become part of the system so that you can receive it. Like, you'd have to have a social security number or a bank account or whatever. And there are definitely people still out there in the world that don't have those things. This is a way of getting everyone on the grid.
Well, I'm an eternal optimist, and I believe things are going to work out. And it's just a personal choice of mine. I'm also a libertarian, and I don't like some of the personal freedom stuff that I see maybe, being violated coming up. But one of my favorite YouTubers in our XRP community is a guy named the Digital Asset Investor. And he said that he didn't really like some of the privacy that may look like it may be getting stepped on moving forward. Mm-hmm. However, they're going to do it anyway. And so if that's true, in other words, the banks are not going to give up. The banks and the governments are not just going to roll over. They're going to bring out the tanks and the guns before they give over monetary control of the people. So that was one of the ways that it kind of helped me become a person comfortable with XRP, because one of the arguments people don't like about it is because it's the banker's coin. Mm-hmm. But in order to change a system, you need to one strategy, unless you're going to go out there and just try to destroy the whole thing, you have to work within the system. And so that was one of the things that they're going to do it anyway. And I'm going to try to profit as much as I can off of it. And Nicole, honestly, what I'm going to do, I grew up in the mountains of North Carolina. I live in the middle of the state now. If XRP and the other crypto bags that I hold do what I hope they will, then I'm going to move back up to the mountains of North Carolina. I'm going to buy a nice, cozy little cabin, get really good TV, really good internet, and a long driveway with a really good gate. And I'm going to ride out the rest of my life while the rest of this world is doing whatever it's going to. So that's my dream. So I gave up on trying to change the entire world about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of people who in crypto who are like you. They just want to have enough so that they can kind of get off of the grid, and not even all the way off, because you're still talking about living within the US and transacting in dollars, but living in kind of an isolated space, maybe where you're less dependent on public services and other people. And yeah, I mean, you're definitely not alone there in crypto. There are a lot of people who, yeah, are right there with you.
So do you feel like, and again, we're seeing a pump the last few days. VeChain has been going wild lately, but do you feel like, again, that we're moving more and more and more closer? And how long do you think that the Fed can continue to prop everything up, printing all of their funny money?
No, I don't know. I'm not an economist or a financial advisor. I don't know how long the Fed can continue to print. I mean, I guess print, right? Like they're just printing digitally, but how long can it happen before merchants are going to have to increase their prices because of, the people who they purchase their goods and services from are going to increase the number of dollars? I think we've already seen that happen. My grocery bill has already gone up. My electricity bill has already gone up.
Yeah, I don't know how much longer, but I'll tell you what, though, I spent the last week, I got back yesterday, looking after my mother. She's got Alzheimer's, and my sister takes care of her 24/7. That she lives with her. They went on vacation, so I went down for a week to kind of be the fill-in. And the gas prices between North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, I mean, I cannot remember the last time I saw gas for $1.74 a gallon. Just remarkable.
Yeah, low gas prices. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. So, there was all of that where like the price of gasoline was negative in May or April. Yeah, I haven't been following that too closely because I drive a hybrid, so I don't pay attention to that.
I gotcha. Well, good for you. Yeah. So, how do you feel about the way that our country is so divided right now, Nicole? Do you feel like that these riots are eventually going to be able to get calmed down and we're going to get, back to a happier United States, or do you think we are heading for a civil war? How are you feeling about all of our social unrest right now?
So I, can't predict the future. What I hope happens is that people realize that this is all just a manipulation, right? Like this is all just an attempt to divide because the people who are divided are easier to conquer. So if people are fighting, or, if you subdivide people into groups, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, anarchist, whatever, there's one division. Then you start dividing those small groups into like, wear a mask, don't wear a mask, right? And people are fighting. People are really fighting online, out in public about wearing masks. I mean, people are really fighting over things that they actually feel the same about, but they're just like little tiny distractions. I hope that people can rise above that and realize that they're just planted ideas for us to argue over when really, I don't know why fight over it, because then when we're fighting over little things, then you can't see the big things. There's a distraction. There's something going on behind the scenes or maybe right in front of our eyes that we're not paying attention to because we're fighting with each other over really insane, silly things. What do I see happening? I don't know. I think that things kind of look similar to what I've imagined or what I've seen or heard about like in the 60s.
Well, what do you think that they want to switch us to? And I believe too that there's a lot of distraction kinds of things going on. The coronavirus is one, all of the rioting and all of that stuff is another. But if they're distracting us, what do you think they're trying to switch us to? And I mean, maybe a digital economy, but I mean, we're already 95% digital anyway. I mean, I maybe have 10 or 12, $15 in my pocket at any given time. I do 98% of every monetary transaction that I do with my debit card. So what do you think they're distracting us to be able to have us looking over here so they can make changes over there?
Well, I mean, I think one of the big things is that as long as people are fighting over things like racism or mask wearing or, closing down businesses, that we're not paying attention to, them printing trillions of dollars and bailing out the same companies that caused all of these problems in 2008 again.
True. Are you looking forward to The Big Short, the sequel?
Yeah. I mean, something like that is kind of seems like inevitable, but I don't know if it's going to be with mortgages or not. I'm not sure.
Well, the most absurd thing that I saw through the Fed funny money program was when, and the stock market, oh my God, was when Hertz filed bankruptcy and then 2 weeks later their stock went up 12%.
Right.
Nicole, how is nobody paying attention to just how insane that is?
Well, or, it's crazy things like, the U.S. announces another, 3 million layoffs, and the stock market jumps 15% on the news of, it doesn't make any sense. But as long as people are fighting over masks and race and, that kind of thing, then they're not focused on fighting.
Well, do you feel like that some of the people that have said things about President Trump, and one of his specialties is bankruptcy, that he is the president to be able to move the United States through a national bankruptcy into whatever else we're going to end up going to?
Okay, sorry. Are you asking if I think that President Trump is the best person for the job for moving the U.S. through bankruptcy into what comes next?
Yes.
Honestly, I have no idea. I don't. I'm not going to vote for Trump. I didn't vote for him in 2016. Is he the best person for the job? I don't know. Maybe. I guess we'll see, right? Because I think it's almost inevitable that he's going to be reelected. But do I think
as long as he can? I feel like, Nicole, again, I'm libertarian, so I'm right here in the middle. But I think if they can't keep the economy propped up through the election, I think Biden will win. But if they can keep this house of cards propped up through the election time, I think I think it's all about the money.
Mm-hmm.
If the economy takes a big dive, then I think it'll be Biden.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see in November, assuming that there isn't some kind of emergency postponement of the election.
That is a possibility as well. Now, one last thing, and I don't want to be able to end this interview without one of the biggest issues is Ghislaine Maxwell being arrested. So I always ask everyone that I get a chance to speak with, do you believe that she'll make it to trial or she'll get suicided?
I don't know. It would be pretty coincidental for her to be suicided, particularly with so much attention on Epstein. I think I don't know. There's no way for me to know what's going to happen or predict the future. That something is probably going to happen that's going to, prevent her from speaking out against those who are in power. But will it be suicide? Will it be something else? I don't know. There's a lot of people who are really, believe strongly in our current administration and think that this is this is really the beginning of bringing these people to justice. I don't know if that's true or not. I've seen plenty of evidence to suggest that it could go either way. I don't know. I'm gonna try to make predictions about what's going to happen.
I think that the people that are in that she's got to have a pretty extensive little black book. And I would imagine that a lot of those people have got to be extremely nervous right now.
Yeah, definitely people are nervous, but what is the master, is it already just part of a plan? We've already seen that these are people, or these are entities and powers that have the ability to think 12 steps ahead, 100 steps ahead. So what do we know about if her being arrested with the information that she had at this wasn't part of whatever plan? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
And one last question real quick. Any views on that we may be invaded by aliens? Because the reason I bring that up, Nicole, is, the Navy 3-4 weeks ago, they put out there that they had these videos of stuff that they can't explain. And isn't it interesting that they did that? And we've got so many other things distracting us right now that it just doesn't really seem to be that big a deal to everybody. I mean, they actually said, hey, we see some stuff that we really can't explain. And that's the first time that the U.S. Navy has ever divulged anything like that in American history. And it's just been kind of an afterthought by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's really that they're divulging it because they want to give the people the information, or if they're divulging it to try and just overload people with information so that they're not thinking deeply or clearly about, some other major issues that are going on. I don't know what to think about it.
I don't either, but it's been fascinating. I mean, 2020, Brad Garlinghouse said it was supposed to be the year of the digital asset. Mm-hmm. It's turned out to me to be the year of the bizarro world. I mean, it's like every week something else coming out that I'm just looking at it and saying, ugh, this is just incredible how the kid just keeps going. However, I'm a half 3 force full guy. So I'm like that, the joke about the guy, the airplane pilot says, hey, Nicole, I got 2 announcements. All right. Number 1, we're making excellent time. Number 2, we're lost. So I don't know where we're going. I don't know where we're heading, but I'm excited to be alive. And I think I'm very grateful that you accepted my invitation to come. You are delightful and intelligent and well-spoken. And this has actually been one of the best interviews that I've done before. And I hope in the future sometime that I can invite you and we can update on what's happened, where we are now. And when we get together again sometime in the future, we can talk about what has transpired in the meantime.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come back on. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. You take care, Nicole. And again, any last thing that you'd like to say to everyone out there in crypto world?
Yeah, if you're like into learning about different cryptos and exploring whether something is a scam, please check out our shows. The live show is on Monday nights. You can watch it at mineyour.biz. You can also watch it on YouTube. The name of the channel is Seth Estrada. My YouTube channel is Web3TV. I sometimes just make, usually just funny or silly videos, but occasionally, something that interview or something with some substance there. T-shirts you can buy on mineyour.biz. We do the Saturday show. It's on YouTube and the website. So yeah, check it out. And Twitter, I'm on there all the time. NrdGrl007, no vowels.
Got it. Thank you. And I'll get links to everything that you mentioned and put them in the description of the video. And everybody like and subscribe and check out everything that Nicole is into. This is a great gal. Thank you very much, Nicole.
Thank you.